Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live, and I want to say welcome. If you have questions, send them. I'll give you some answers. I'll probably also throw in an attached article that I've already written about that type of question. However, I understand some questions are more personalized towards you. So, like I said, happy to answer you and guide you in that direction, depending on what you ask. We'll also watch some combat swimmer stroke videos, may even throw in a tread video that I was sent this week because I've been working on treading a lot with people here locally because we had a couple of issues with treading, and I realized the biggest issue we have with treading is people are not mobile enough to tread properly. So that means their hips, knees, and ankles are so tight that they can't get into a proper breaststroke kick and actually push down with the inside of their foot and shin to create upward motion, right? Whenever they're doing a breaststroke kick or the egg beater. And a lot of people think the egg beater is spinning your feet like this in a circle, like an egg beater would, where it really is actually, you know, downward force with the inside of your legs so you can produce upward direction to keep your head over, above the surface. So anyway, there's been some lessons learned with those guys for sure. Um, and it all came down to mobility. They understand the stroke, they understand the movement. They just could not get into the movement. So I'm going to post a an article here real quick. Um, Treading water, and also has some CSS tips in it too. I'm going to post this article in the comment section. You guys check this out because it has some really good mobility day pictures. So what we are doing now is I'm teaching treading after an hour's worth of mobility day. And we're really focusing on hips, knees, ankles, so they can get into that proper kick. And it's been very helpful. People are starting to see it doesn't take long. It takes a couple of weeks and you're actually able to do it. But if you're neglecting mobility, chances are you will not be able to tread. And that is that for sure. So if you guys have questions, send them to me. I am happy to answer them. I'm also working on another article this week. A few months ago, I did a podcast and an article about longevity, right? And made a statement that longevity is the mastery of recovery. Well, after obviously understanding what recovery is, if you take a look at it, it's really the same thing as optimal performance. So when you're a younger guy, you're not really worried about longevity. Most people aren't. It's just not in your nature. You're just trying to crush things, whether it's athletics or it's some kind of hardcore spec ops selection. So you're trying to get your body to an optimal level of performance. However, here's the secret: the optimal performance is also the mastery of recovery, because you can do way too much and not recover. And next thing you know, you're seeing negative results in all of your efforts. Hey, we got a first question here. So anyway, I'm working on that article and going to make it like a sister article to the mastery of recovery is longevity, and optimal performance is also the mastery of recovery. Just written a little bit different. Hey Stu, do you have any barbell overhead press strength standards preparing for buds like you do squats and deadlifts? No, I do have some hang clean type standards where you can hang clean and push press into it, but really it's all of those movements with a boat and with a log should be a push press versus a static overhead press like this. I mean, you should use your legs, do a little mini squat, boom, and pop it up there. Otherwise, you're going to die under a log and boat. So the one thing I did as a boat crew leader is timed it so we all, every time we had to go up, we just did a mini, went down, and push pressed into the log, and it made all the difference. So now it's a timing issue too. So you got to be perfect teamwork model. So sometimes I would say down, hup, like that, calling out the push press versus the overhead press, static overhead press. But here's what I would recommend. I would just, instead of worrying about max weight over your head, I would get a plate and see how long you can hold it over your head locked out. So we do a lot of plate holds. So 45-pound plate or 40, 50-pound sandbag held over your head is a really good training um, event to prepare yourself for that log PT and boat overheads. Because it's really just an isometric flex of roughly 40 to 50 pounds over your head versus actually thinking you're pushing up a 200-pound log or a 300-pound boat. You don't do that. I mean, it is distributed between 6, 7 people. So it's a little bit easier than, 1 rep max of overhead press. Put it this way, I never really did a whole lot of overhead presses, maybe 135 for reps, but that was it. And then eventually those little military presses turn into push presses once you start getting tired. But master the push press. I'm telling you, that's going to be the trick. And just like you do a plank pose, boom, 10-minute plate hold. See if you can do that, 5 to 10 minutes. It's tough. We actually had a dude do it for over 20 minutes, and he has the record, at least in our group. Do you think age 24 to 26 is appropriate age to tend buds? Well, it is within that window, if you want to call it a window. It's more like a barn door. Because you have like from 17, believe it or not, with a parent signature, you could be 17 years old and go to buds, or 29. So that is a huge, call it what you want, garage door, barn door, whatever. It's not just a little window. 24 to 26 is in that range. And yes, I was 22, 23 when I was going through. I thought that was really good. We did have a few guys that were 24, 25, 26 going through, and they crushed it. It's the 18, 19-year-olds that really have a hard time with it, statistically speaking. Even though they may be a little better with recovery, they have a hard time with a lot of the mental and emotional maturity stuff. But those guys that are 18-year-olds that make it through are freaking rock stars. I mean, there's special humans that can do it at that young age. I couldn't have done it. One, I was just a overweight football player, so I know I couldn't have done it. During your time in teams, did you ever meet anyone who was absolutely terrified of heights that got over it and went on to be successful? Yeah, several people were. I remember having those discussions. I mean, I was kind of one of them. Put it this way, I don't go jumping out of airplanes for fun now. I will go scuba diving for fun. I actually enjoy scuba diving. Um, but I would not go go jumping for fun. Not at all. Um, that's just me. I mean, I used to get like physically ill before jumps. So call it what you want. I guess that was a fear of it, a dislike of it, but I did it anyway. Probably, I don't know, over 50 jumps. Not a whole lot in my short career. Good question though. But yes. I mean, I remember going over the cargo net and not looking down just because that cargo net was like 3 stories high and you're holding on to it, climbing over that little top part. Just don't even look down. And I was pretty good at the O course. I just did not particularly like that one obstacle. All right. So, hey Stu, for the guys who you know for who are FBI HRT, could you share what career they did before the FBI? Yes, sure. Um, I've had a couple. I mean, military, special ops, absolutely. Those guys, I know a few there that have done it that way. Even had a Bud's classmate go through and do it. But there's another one that's a local guy that trained with us who was a state police officer, paramedic that flew in the helicopters, emergency helicopter paramedic. Then he became an FBI agent. Then he became an FBI SWAT team for their field office. And then he became HRT, and he's the HRT medic there as well. So it's pretty diverse, you know. Typically that's how it works. Either military or law enforcement prior service for sure. Good question though. Great job, I hear. Tough. Do you know what the Secret Service ERT or counter sniper selection is like? No, I do not. Just assume it's hard. Um, I have met a few of those guys over the years, and they are definitely good at what they do and very fit. So, but as far as details of their actual training, I do not have that. Accutane? Do I know what Accutane is? No, but you know what? I can Google it. I have no idea. Never used it. Never heard of it. I'm reading about it right now, and yeah, don't know. Not sure why I would. Um, yeah, sorry, Jackson. I don't know in terms of fitness what they do. Just assume it's hardcore because they are very fit. Would you recommend widening pull-up grip for more reps or more reps? Feels like it stresses my shoulders more. I think uh, grip, um, a diverse number of grips is really good. So, I when I do 100 to 150 pull-ups in a workout, and that's pretty typical, I will do many in the reverse grip. I'll go regular grip. Sometimes I'll do them like counter grip, commando grip, they call it. Just a few wide. I personally have a jacked up shoulder. If I can kind of see it, when I go wide, it hurts, but when I keep it close, it does not. So I can do close grip, reverse grip, but when I go too wide, it hurts my shoulder. So the answer is diversify the number of grips you have and practice several. I think you will find them to be helpful in just other ways and might get a few more reps out of a big high volume workout, by changing the grips a little more. Probably work your grip a little bit differently too. Stu, been using your programs for a time, adjusting it to fit my needs. Of course, that's smart. Got to do that. Just wanted to say program. Oh, well, thank you. Excellent. Good job. Oh, have I ever had acne? No, but my son had some when he was a teenager, and we did what's that stuff? I don't even know. It's pretty common. Um, you see, like, I don't know. You see commercials for it. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe it is that same uh medicine. I don't know. No, no, it's a branded name for in fact if I Google it, amazing what you can find on Google. Proactive. Yeah, it was proactive is what we used for him. So I don't know. That seemed to work for him. And he's 6'3", 195 right now, so he didn't necessarily gain any weight from it. Yeah, unfortunately, when you ask me questions about medications, I don't know a whole lot about it unless I have personally used it myself. Um, and back in my day, I don't think we had much medication for it back in the 80s. I think we just used Clearasil and swam in the ocean. All right, so I don't see any new questions, so let's see. Let me share my screen here, and we will go into a CSS critique real quick. All right, so we have a kick off the wall. So first thing I want to show you, you can't really see because this darn name there. We'll get the next one. There you go. Now, I don't know what's going on with the arms, but you either have really no mobility whatsoever and you can't straighten your arms, but you got to straighten your arms. You got to really put those biceps on your ears, straighten the arms, one hand on top of the other, not flying out like this. That is a huge issue with working a good streamlined body position. Right? It is a big difference between swimming like this with bent elbows, with your head up, swimming like this with your chin tucked. I mean, put them side by side looking into it, and you can see a huge difference. One looks like a torpedo, the other one does not. Okay. All right. So top arm, bottom arm, kick. Now here's something else I wanted to show you. Notice this recovery. Look how far your arm is away from your body when you recover this stroke. You're going to really see it on the way back. Top arm, bottom arm, kick. Now, the good news is on this stroke, I will say, and I posted this one up on TikTok today. The good news is he's got the timing down. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. This is good. So he's got to, pull, breathe, kick, glide. It's not bad. The kick's not that great. The arm pull is okay. It's just the recovery is like you go one step forward, one step back almost. Well, I mean, maybe you have something wrong with your elbow. I don't know. But you got to straighten that thing. Straighten that elbow there and straighten it there. I mean, look how far it is away from your body here. I mean, it is top arm, bottom arm. And then you pop your head up to breathe. So you lose all horizontal motion whenever you do that vertical pop up. So it's like you go a little bit, you stop and go up. You go a little bit, you stop and go up. But like I said, the good news is you have the stroke cadence down, but there's a whole lot you need to fix in that to make your streamline and glide a little bit more efficient. So you need to kick a little harder, work some kick drills, need to pull a little better, freestyle catch, practice that. When you recover, your arms should actually be touching your body as you recover. And then when you glide after every kick or off the wall, you should definitely have your biceps along your face, head down, tuck like this, not out like this with your head up, because that is, it's like I said, swimming with the brakes on. That was a good submission, though. There was a lot going on there that is very common for new swimmers, for sure. I'll get another one up here ready to go for the next one. Let's see. Have any of your guys go SF National Guard? Yes, multiple. They like it. They like it a lot, in fact. And then many of them, if they go 18 X-ray or, join the Army and then go, they later become SF National Guards, and then they go to their unit and, stay with the, SF National Guard group. And then every now and then something in their schedule opens up and allows them to go deploy again with an active unit. So they love it. I tell you, one thing that is really uniquely organized about the Army SF is that, each one of those jobs is a block, right? And if there's a group, that is deploying and they need somebody to fill that block, there is usually someone in the Army National Guard, SF National Guard units that can come in and fill that position. It works that way, we just had a guy here that I was helping prepare for the Army dive school with swimming and treading, and he's absolute stud. Green Beret, deploys all the time, loves his job, and he's with the National Guard unit. Should there be an adjustment of training on a day where I receive chiropractic adjustment? Good question. When in hindsight, I would say I did not do anything different on those days. However, looking back, I did not do. In hindsight, I would say probably not a bad idea to go through a mobility day, treading, practicing, technique stuff versus hardcore lifts or anything, and getting tight before or after the chiropractic adjustment. I would test that out. That's a good one to test. Test it out. Like, go to get an adjustment before or after a lift style run, ruck, whatever, and then go do it again before or after a mobility day. And if you're not familiar with mobility day, I will put it in here. Usually all my latest programs have mobility days in them now because they are just so darn helpful. But yeah, check out that link in the Don't Skip Mobility Day article and see which one works for you. I'd be curious to see what you think. Good question. How did your shirt sale turn out? Oh, good. Good. I'll probably keep selling these. Thanks for a reminder. I gave one away last time for free. Cows and cardio. Still selling them. This is one of my old shirts, Heroes of Tomorrow shirts. Then I got this new drawing here from one of my guys. Really cool. Can't really see what it is, but you can see the logo. It's kind of our local workout group, which he did a good job with. Let's see. Let me see what else I got here. Let me show you this one. This is kind of cool. So this is a new addition. I got a new paddle. So I like all these old paddles that my students have sent me, when they finish SQT. But back in my day, we didn't have these great ideas. So me and another class officer bought these paddles. This is my Buds class, Buds 182, for our Buds class, and are in the process of mailing them out to everybody as our 30th anniversary gift. So yes, 30 years ago, July 2nd, 1992, Buds 182 finished SEAL training. So pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, got a whole lot of stuff going on here. I don't sell paddles, but I do sell T-shirts and books. In fact, this one right here is going hot right now. The spring trading. It is pretty much what we're doing right now with our local guys going variety of spec ops jobs. Though once again, depending on that job, some guys aren't swimming as much because they're going Army, but some guys are rucking more because of that. So it's a kind of a mix of depending on which one you're doing. What do I think about Israeli SF? I think they're fantastic. They are super at what they do. And back in my day, back in the early 90s, when we were, deploying before 9/11, there wasn't a lot of really institutional knowledge that was out there on fighting terrorism. So the Israelis were really good at it. You know who else was good at it too? The SAS and SBS, um, dealing with IRA type stuff. Um, in the 80s, late 70s, 80s. So they were pretty much the holders of the anti-terrorism back there, and there are a few other groups too. There used to be a lot of hijackings in the 80s that dealt with terrorism, but for the most part, there really were a few that were really good at it, and so a lot of the training that the Americans did was kind of modeled off of their operations and preparation for those ops. Let's see. Hello, if you had to write again, what would the warning order look like? Good question. Whew, be a lot different. I mean, that thing was supposed to be like a 2-page product that recruiters could give people who walk in and say they want to be SEALs. So I don't know if you could take a program like this and make it a 2-page synopsis of a program that's 24 weeks long, right? It's really hard to do. So those things are about as useful as what you put into it, when you see what type. I would say at best those things are more like the Buds warning order was more of a guideline. Like you need to be progressively running this many miles per week, swimming this many meters per week, doing this kind of volume with calisthenics per week. I mean, there was no weights in it. I probably would definitely add that. And by the way, I was going through some boxes, and this is something for you guys that are listening. I'm going to give this away. Tactical Fitness, going to give it away. And here's what I want you to do. Just if you want it, just put book. Give me a comment that says book, and I am going to write, like I did last week, a number. And that number will be whatever number person, when I count from top to bottom, book, 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 book. Whatever this number is, that is who gets this book. Tactical Fitness book. I don't sell these anymore on my site. You can get them on Amazon, but it's got a little autograph there, and then I also autographed it in here. So Tactical Fitness, great book. That'd be my answer for the warning order, to be honest with you, because you need to be good at endurance, run, swim, ruck, calisthenics, muscle stamina, load bearing, boats and logs. So that means with some kind of resistance, weight. Um, you need to have some flexibility, mobility, uh, speed, and agility to get through obstacle courses and other things. So there's just so much to being a tactical athlete and preparing for a selection that you have to take some time and really develop all those elements of fitness, because your weaknesses will be exposed immediately, like soon as you get there. So the number of books, let's see, just type in book and I will send it to you. You haven't reached that number yet. You only get one chance to type in book. So Tom, sorry, you didn't meet the number. Um, so like I said, if you want this book, type book into the comment section. Happy to send it to you. And remember, I'm getting an aggregate of comments. So I'm getting 2 Facebooks and a YouTube all lined up all in one using this StreamYard. So I got 2. Justin, sorry. Do you meet people who have bad attitude in the teams? Yes, there are people all throughout life that will have bad attitudes. I try to stay away from them. What would a standard 2 to 4 mile ruck time with 40 to 50 pounds be? Landon, it depends. It depends on your on what you're doing. I would say 2 to 4 miles is not long, so I would say you want to probably be faster than slower on that. So the Army has a minimum standard of like 15-minute mile pace. So 30 to 60 would be the minimum standard, flat line, minimum standard. So you don't want to be over 30, you don't want to be over 60. Minimum standard. Now, I would say there's no reason why you can't do a 10-minute mile and do 2 miles at 20 minutes and 4 miles at 40 minutes. Pretty commonly done here, even by old people like me. Now, there are some people who can bust out an 8-minute mile with that kind of weight, which for me, it looks a little too much like running. And there's a lot of aches and pains that will come with that. So I tend to make it a short stride shuffle and get my time down 10, 11-minute mile for that kind of distance. And that seems to be a good, happy place for whatever you're going through. Though, the closer to 10 and even under in those shorter distance rucks, the better. All right, let me see. How many books we got? Tom, Justin, Mike. Okay, we're getting close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drew, you're number 6. So I wrote a 6 down here. Woo, 6. So it looks like Drew is the man. Let me just make sure, start from the top. The way this is looking. 1, Justin's 2, Michael Fabian's 3, Bud's Duds 4, Jackson is 5, and Drew F is 6. So Drew, what I want you to do is just email me, stu@stewsmith.com, and I will put this in the mail for you. So that's kind of fun. I like the little giveaways. Okay, how to prepare for beach runs if no beach around? What would trail runs be a substitute? No, hills would be probably the next best option. I will tell you this. I actually did 2 things. I actually lived in Florida, but I was like an hour and a half away from the beach, so that didn't make any sense. Um, so I was there for 2 or 3 months, or not that long, probably at least 2 months before I went out to Buds. And we had a dried up riverbed that I ran on in the summer. And I found a plowed field that I just went and asked the farmer, can I run the perimeter of that field, where they're not planting anything, just to prepare for military. And he was like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. So um, that was kind of fun. So um, it was plowed dirt, which was a little bit different, but it was still hard as hell. Um, but if you don't have that, I would say hills would be better. Jackson just ordered the 3-to-1 book. Thank you, sir. Let me see. I think I missed a few when I was counting what to do and what not to do days before official PST date. Yeah, I've written a couple articles on that. I typically just start off the week in fact, I wrote an article about the week before the PST. So the testing week, what should the testing week look out? Look at that. Man, this is just like none of these questions. I shouldn't say none of these questions. Many of these questions I've seen because I've been doing this for 20 years and I've actually written over 1,000 articles. Many of them come from questions. But check out that article I just put in there. But basically, I try not to let a PST ruin my week's worth of workouts. So, it used to be a time when people would take a day off before and then an easy day, 2 days out, and then maybe easy. I just keep my workouts the same till about 2 days and then take about 50% of that, say day 3, if I'm taking it on day 5. Day 4 will be a mobility day, and then day 5 will be the test. Because one thing I have found is I really don't, and then I go get a killer workout after the test, later on, just because you don't want a PST to interfere with your training. However, um, if you're only taking it once, like the officers have to, they get once or twice maybe, and it's that important. But if you're just, delayed entry program and you're constantly taking PSTs every 2 weeks and you've already passed it, just don't let it interfere with your workouts is the key. Um, but yeah, that article should help you. In regards to dive school, if there's anything that most candidates struggle with or go to dive school without working on enough. My understanding is treading water. Treading is one of the big killers at dive school. So, um, you know what? I forgot to tell you guys this. I'm also going to, I haven't counted anymore, but I'm writing another number down. And if you were the 8th person, got another book. So I found 2 books the other day. So I'll send 2 of them out to you. So Drew was 6, Bobby was 7, Landon Barnes. All right, Landon Barnes, looks like you are number 8. So there you go. Even dipped into a little bit later. I'd like to be able to get into double digits one day, but we'll see. But yeah, treading is the killer from what I hear. And from what I have seen, I would absolutely agree with that. Most people suck at treading because they don't practice it and they're not mobile enough to make proper downward moving kicks to stay above the surface. So, once again, the very first article that I shared in the comment section, check that out because treading is the killer. Yeah, of course, you're going to be underwater and you're going to be doing scuba stuff and pool comp stuff. By the way, the books are gone, so no need to type in book anymore. So, yes, there's going to be a steep learning curve about, learning scuba and learning it under stress. So there's that. But I think treading and dive prep is probably the biggest killer. Okay, for what you've seen over the years, about how long would it take for a person who doesn't know how to swim at all to get good at swimming and crush the CSS time? Well, I will tell you this, Mike. I had a young man who was a college football player come to me, and his first time ever getting across a swimming pool was with me. And I remember him being really happy after struggling getting across the pool. And I was like, "What just happened?" He goes, "You don't understand. That's the first time I've ever swum across a swimming pool." So I've taken person from that level, right? And within 6 months, not only was he crushing the PST, he shipped off to Buds. And that guy is a SEAL right now. So it can happen. Now, he had a hard time with the water events at Buds, which, natural, but he crushed all the land events. Everybody has a weakness out there, whether it's water, land, obstacle courses, boats, logs, Hell Week. All those tend to challenge your soul. Okay, I tell you what, let's take a little break from answering questions. Eyes are getting a little um, hard to see these things. So I'm going to share another CSS video, and I can't remember what this one is. So let's check it out. So kick off the wall, good, streamlined. Now you notice his arms are much different than the previous guys. So he's got a decent streamline. His head's down, one hand on top of the other, decent arm pull. All right, so I don't know what kind of kick that was, but that's like just bending your knees and straightening them. That is not a dolphin kick. A dolphin kick is a little more fluid that comes from the hips. It's not a bending of the knees like that. You will bend a little bit, but it's more of a hip movement. All these little kicks there can go. All right, so we got top arm, bottom arm, kick, hold the glide. That's not bad. Got a kick there. He's got a kick there. He's got moving his legs all over. This is actually really good, minus the extra kicking. And like, watch this little, yeah, that dolphin kick there is wonky. I would just take that out. It's not helping you, probably actually hurting you. Top arm, bottom arm, good, tight recovery. Top arm, bottom. Now you could do a freestyle catch. That, um, see how that arm is coming in, um, just like pivoting from the shoulder. You should be bending that elbow out here, trying to get that elbow as vertical as it can, grabbing water way out in front of you, and then pulling it and pushing it behind you versus just everything hinges from the shoulder, right? There's something called the freestyle catch. I've said it 100 times. If I said it once, you got to look into that because that is the top arm pull of this stroke. Top arm, bottom arm, kick. My only thing here with this one is the uh, the extracurricular activity of your feet. Just keep your feet together. No need to do all these kicks and movements. It's all right to have a little flutter in there. That's kind of coordinated with your arms because sometimes when you move your arms, your feet move. It's kind of natural, but you definitely could be a little less active with the feet. So I can't remember who the second person was who got the book. Landon, I think. go ahead and email me, stu@stewsmith.com, with your address, and I'll get this book out today. I got to go to the post office anyway, shipping out these babies to my classmates. So I will put those books in there too. All right, so I'm not going to do any more CSS critiques. We got a few more minutes to take some questions if you have them. Yeah, I know Pavel. In fact, Pavel and I have talked several times, written some articles together. He's really knowledgeable. What's your opinion on working on low reps, for instance, one arm push ups to get muscular endurance as a byproduct? Huh. Well, you're asking me something I have never done personally. So I'm going to naturally say, why do you need it? Now, just because I've never done it doesn't mean it doesn't work. I tell people all the time, I have a way to train, not the only way to train. I don't have a answer for that question, right? It's just one of those things that try it, see if it works. If it doesn't work, don't do it anymore. That's my best answer for when you ask me, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? If I've done it before, I'll say, yes, it works. No, it didn't work for me, but it may work for you. So great question, though. I love Pavel. I think he does a great job, and is very intelligent. I always learn something when I talk to Pavel. So, do you know anything about DMTs or have worked with them, dive medical technicians? Yes. Think they're great. Some of the smartest people I know were dive medical technicians, even made it up into the IDC ranks, which is independent duty corpsman. It's pretty high up within the Navy medical, hierarchy of knowledge. Probably a step away from almost like physician's assistant. Probably with a little bit, maybe 6 months of training, you could be a physician's assistant after that. Yeah, I think they're great. I've seen them save lives, and they are very handy to have around. Does it make sense to add squats to a PT pyramid? If it's a leg day, sure. I was looking at the Classic Week article recently. Would it be good to add some muscle to my legs in that program? Well, let me see. The Classic Week has leg day in it, right? I mean, if you take a look at the actual workout, the next day is actually squat day and running and squat. So why would you want to do squats 2 days in a row? I mean, I guess you could, but I don't see that's needed. One's an upper body day. That's an upper body, lower body day split. Then you got an upper body mobility day, and then a big leg day on day 5. No, I wouldn't add squats to your PT pyramid unless you're not going to do them on day 2. Then you can, sure. In fact, yesterday we wound up doing a squat times 3 in our 110-1 pyramid because we were doing a Murph plus some extra activities. So we did pull-ups, push-ups, squats, and dips in a pyramid. But it was kind of like our full body day pyramid. Today, we did not do legs, but we ran hills. We did some sprints. We did some goal pace runs, and we're about to swim at noon. Basically, just do some freestyle CSS 50-50 type workouts. So, it doesn't make sense to do 3-4 days a row of leg days. Less is actually more when it comes to recovery. Just like, when I started this whole hour-long show, maybe you missed that part, but mastery of recovery means longevity. Mastery of recovery equals optimal performance. So your split routines have to be sensible. They have to make sense. You have to have it so you are actually um, recovering at least sections of your body every day. Otherwise, you're just going to wind up burning yourself out and seeing negative results. Trust the process. That program works really well. I've had guys do that classic PST week. In fact, I'll save it and I'll copy it and put it into the comment section so everybody can see what I'm talking about. Um, I've had people do that for 4 weeks, same workout for 4 weeks, and then they played around with that second workout in there for that fourth or fifth week and just crushed it. Double PSTs, not a problem. I mean, that's a free workout there. Just do it. Like Jackson said, trust the process. It does work. Yes, you should look at it more thoroughly. Hey, I'm really struggling on my pull-ups. I can only do one. Do you have any advice to get to 20? Um, that will take some time, but yes, I actually wrote a 3-part series. Um, in fact, it's the fact that you got your first one is really good because that's the hardest one to get. Now you have the strength enough to do a pull up. Now, what you have to do is turn that strength exercise into an endurance muscle stamina exercise to be able to do 20 of them. So now it's just a matter of adding volume to get better at those pull ups. So, my suggestion would be pull ups every other day, 3 days a week, and, you know, just start putting in the time doing pull-ups. And when you fail at pull-ups, do an easier version of pull-ups, maybe a negative, maybe assisted pull-ups, pull downs. Get some rows and bicep curls in there too. I mean, like make it a good pull day the days that you do pull-ups. But there is an article, there's a video. I wrote this 3-part series with let me see, 3-part series with a Marine officer. Let's see if I can find it. It's on military.com. Look at that. Found it. There's a 3-part series, and the first part of the series is how to get your first pull up. The second part of the series is going from 1 to 8, which I think at the time was the women's max to get 8. And then the third part of it is getting 20 pull ups. Let me see if I got this one right. All right. So hopefully the links are in here for all 3 of them. I think they are. Not sure. But anyway, check this out. I'm going to put in 2 of them. But if you'll see the pull-ups part 1, pull-ups part 2. I think this one is, where's part 2? Here's a little video I did on YouTube. It's kind of a bad audio, but you'll see that one there. But yeah, check that little series out. It's pretty good. Getting better at pull-ups. By the way, whenever I'm looking these up, I am taking that question and putting my name in the Google search, and it pops up. So um, try that out. Need help with pull-ups? Consider these options. So I'm putting a whole lot of stuff in there. I'm seriously, I've written a lot about pull-ups. So if you ask that question, you'll find a whole bunch of stuff in there. Yeah, you know what? don't really care. You know, the motivated find me. I don't need to be part of some YouTube algorithm to get more people. The motivated will find me. Um, okay, get on it. Good job. Nice. Let's see. Any more questions here? What swimming technique do you use for underwater swimming? Well, that's a good question, actually. The kick off the wall, or depending on if you can kick off the wall or not, some underwater swims you can't kick off the wall. So you have to really create all of your power from what is called a breaststroke pullout. So you're going to grab all that water, hold that glide, kick and recover, and do it again. So it's basically a series of breaststroke pullouts, and it's up to you, depending on the effectiveness of your kick, if you want to continue that breaststroke pullout using a breaststroke. If you suck at breaststroke, I would suggest another kick. I personally prefer the scissor kick, and I will use the scissor kick when I swim underwater. However, my pulls are majority of my power and distance come from that uh, power pull of a breaststroke pullout. So you need to Google breaststroke pullout and look at the streamlined body position of those folks, but as well as the how they pull their arms. They're not pulling their arms like they're doing a jumping jack. They're not doing this. They're grabbing water out here like that freestyle catch, pulling and pushing all the way down. So yeah, definitely need to check that out. All right, last question. I got to go. So, how would you suggest I work on increasing my calisthenics numbers when I'm lifting? You're not. Just do pull-ups and push-ups throughout the day? Question mark. Um, I mean, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get strong because you're lifting and increase 1 rep max stuff, 5 rep max stuff? Or are you trying to get more muscle stamina doing higher reps with your lifts and doing calisthenics too? I don't know what you're trying to do. So here's what I do when I'm lifting, when I'm in a true lift cycle and I am focusing on building strength. Those lifts are heavy and fewer reps. However, I will warm up with calisthenics. So I'll do a little quick 1 to 10, stop at 10, might get 55 pull-ups in, 100 push-ups, and that is easy for me. Not a lot of volume. However, if you're only at 5 pull-ups, that may be really challenging for you to be able to do that. So your warm-up may only be 1 to 5. So yeah, mixing in muscle stamina endurance exercises into a strength program has to be done delicately. You can't just throw them in there, spread them throughout the day, and see results in either strength or your muscle stamina. That's why I came up with this program, because the way we do it here and the way we do it in the winter when we're in our winter lift cycle, which I don't have a copy of right here, um, is we do 3 weeks of a focused program. So right now we're on 3 weeks of focusing on calisthenics and cardio. There's no lifting in this cycle of 3 weeks. However, on the 4th week, we'll throw a lift cycle in just for 1 week, just kind of a lift maintenance. So my goal is at the end of this 12 to 16 week block is to get all my calisthenics and cardio numbers up to where they need to be. However, I'm maintaining my strength. The same thing happens for when we're in the winter, when we're focusing on that winter lift cycle. My goal is to focus on strength, getting better, body weight bench presses, weighted pull-ups, deadlifts, squats, all of those type of lifts, working on getting those better. We're running a little bit less. And we're only doing calisthenics primarily as a warm-up to that lift. And because we're lifting outside, it's wintertime, we will run a little bit just to stay warm, but there's no real like massive goal in trying to maintain a lot of speed with it. So it's more or less just maintaining that aerobic base while we get through this winter lift cycle. And we do the same thing. We do a 3-week strength, 1 week calisthenics and cardio, which acts as a good little deload for the strength cycle, which people are actually ready for, believe it or not. You could either throw a deload week in there and not do a whole lot, or you can make it a calisthenics and cardio and just focus on different energy system. And that's a good way to maintain some calisthenics and cardio numbers in the middle of your strength cycle. Once again, that's called block periodization. It's a way to do it, not the only way to do it. I've written programs that have nothing to do with block periodization. That is just something that, depending on your inability to maintain endurance and calisthenics numbers during a lift cycle, you may want to do that. Or your inability to maintain your cardio during a lift cycle, you may want to do that. And same thing for the flip side, whenever you're trying to maintain some strength. If you're trying to maintain some strength because you're an easy loser of strength, you lose all your gains real quick if you're not lifting, you may want to try that block periodization model during a calisthenics and cardio cycle. But your cycles need to have a purpose. And it's really hard to get good at everything to the level that you need to get good at them all at once. Like typically, if you're running and doing a lot of calisthenics in the middle of a strength cycle, typically two things happen. One, you're not going to see a lot of strength gains. And two, you're not going to see a lot of endurance gains. Or I should say, speed increases or time decreases in your timed run events. That is typical what I've seen over the last 20 years when people try to mix it all together. Let's see. That was a good last question. I think we're going to keep it there. Will I keep using this 3-to-1 model for the foreseeable future? It depends on the group. Right now I got some young guys who just went through their real first lift cycle, and it worked really well for them to maintain some cardio during that lift cycle. But they're also they're hard gainers, easy losers, I guess. So I think it makes sense for the hard gainer to go through a block periodization model. Just from what I'm seeing over the last 2 years of doing this. These type of programs here don't have that block periodization, but you can put it in yourself. I mean, you could do, this strength cycle in here and then throw in a week of calisthenics and cardio if you wanted to. So you could do it that way. You go through your normal strength cycle and do a week of Navy SEAL workout book. So there's a lot of different ways to do this, and it really kind of depends on the individuals in the group and the group as a whole. But I would say just dealing with the type of people I see, it probably will make sense. Zach asked one last question about an hour into this thing. What about wrestlers and lax players make them good candidates? I've heard you talk about that before. It's a good question. I mean, they're just tough, period. I mean, their sports make them a little tougher. Lax players get the benefits of both being strong and having endurance. They're really good team players. If you think about a lax player, they're team players and everyone's a leader at some point because you're holding that ball, you're like a quarterback for a second, right? Wrestlers a little bit different. It's an individual sport, but it's still a team sport, relying on your teammates in different ways, and it's just hard. When you go one-on-one with another human, I mean, that's a hard gut check every time you do it. Training for that is brutal. Most of them understand what it means to put out and, really push themselves. However, both will not do well if they suck at swimming and treading water. So that is the only weakness. If there is a kryptonite to the wrestler and the lax player when they go through buds type training, is they can't tread or they cannot swim well, and their general water competency is low. But everything else they usually do really well on. So that's a big if, though. But that applies to just about anything, really. All right, folks. Well, that was fun. Until next week, we'll do this again. I'll try to post some more videos this week. I think I got a couple podcasts coming up, and we'll kind of go from there. But we'll do this again on next Tuesday. Everybody, check out StuSmithFitness.com. In fact, if you go to Stu Smith Fitness and use that code right there, COMPETE20, you'll save 20%. So, also, if you need combat swimmer stroke help, check out either these YouTube videos I have that are pretty old, but they still work, or you can go to my more updated version of these CSS critiques over on TikTok, because I've got over 100 voiceover corrections of people swimming. So next time I'll try to get some good underwater tread pictures as well. So I'll get some good videos for you. We'll talk about treading next week. All right, folks. Until then, have a good one.